Welcome to Stamp-a-faire 2016. This is Danielle Flanders, and today I'm going to show you how to make some monogram note cards, tags, and a pretty pen with the liquid gold leaf by Plaid. So to get started, I'm using the Limitless Layers 2 1/4 square die collection, and I'm just cutting 3 or so, one for each of my cards, my monogram note cards. And I have this liquid leaf by Plaid. I'm just brushing it along the edges of my scallop die cuts to make the scallops gold. And you want to stir the liquid leaf before you start really well. It has like a reddish tint to it for some reason, and it needs to be stirred each time before you use it. So I just use the end of an old paintbrush and stir it up really good before I pour some onto my palette here. So I'm just brushing it on with an old paintbrush. And you'll definitely want to use an old paintbrush or maybe even a foam brush, which I'll show you in a little bit here. The foam brush works really well also. And if you're particular about getting the gold even, you can maybe mask off the edges here to get them nice and straight if you'd like. I'm just randomly brushing it on. I kind of like the brush strokes, and I'll be covering most of it up anyway with the circle that I'm going to place on top. One more note about the liquid leaf is that it dries very quickly on your paintbrush, so that's why I'm using an old paintbrush. Here's the foam brush that I was talking about, and this is, after I tried the foam brush, I really liked how it delivered the paint to my die cut, so I would recommend the foam brush. It also dries very quickly on your die cut, so that's one positive thing about this product. So now I'm going to cut some Ks out of some coaster board here that is from Paper Tray Ink. And these are the book print upper alpha dies. And I'm just using a monogram for my daughter Katie, but you can use any letter of the alphabet that you'd like for your monogram set. The coaster board is really nice because it takes the paint nicely. It's thick so it doesn't warp or anything. And I just kind of like how it looks for the monogram. So I'm going to take the liquid leaf again in my foam brush and just cover it with the gold. Super, super quick and easy. And like I said, it dries in a matter of seconds. This gold paint goes on very thick and it's so shiny and pretty. It is comparable to the Martha Stewart liquid gold. A very comparable product. So if you have that on hand, or if you have gold embossing powder, that would work also. Now I have some Enchanted Evening pattern paper, and I'm going to use the Bitty Dot from the pack. And I have the Limitless Layers 2 and 2.5, I think, circle dies from Paper Tray Ink. I'm just going to cut one for each of my cards, and I'm going to do some layering here. For time's sake, I've also gone ahead and cut a Peonies on Parade flower with Lovely Lady cardstock, and I've colored it in a little bit with Copics, and then I've cut an aqua mist leaf, and I've layered those together on my card. And now I have an Edgers number 4 die, and I'm just going to add a little scallop border to the front of my monogram card. So I've cut a thin strip of white cardstock and cut it out with the Edgers number 4 die, and this is what I got when I took it out of my die cutting machine. And I have a folded card base, but the front of the card is cut off just slightly. My card base is cut at 8.5 inches long and 3.5 inches wide, and I scored it about 3.5 inches from the top. So the front of my card is shorter than the back, and I thought that would be a cool look. So I've gone ahead and adhered the scallop square to the front and my scallop border, and this is just the aqua mist leaf that I trimmed out, and I just kind of shaded the edges with a Copic marker to add a little bit of color and dimension. And I did the same with the flower with a pink Copic marker. And I'll go ahead and adhere that. And that is what my finished monogram cards are going to look like. And here's the set. I did also use liquid leaf on my envelopes, which I will show you next. Turned out really pretty on the colored envelopes, and I'm going to show you on this one here. So I just took a piece of scratch paper and put it under the flap here so I don't get it on the rest of the envelope. And I'm going to take my foam brush again, mix up my liquid leaf again so it's nice and stirred, and pour a little bit on my palette. And then I'm just going to run the brush along the edge of the flap. I kind of like the brush strokes. I think it looks kind of neat, but if you want it straighter, you can definitely mask the flap off and get nice straight lines. The only downside of using the foam brush is that it does soak up a lot of the paint. So if you're using a paintbrush, you probably won't go through as much of the liquid leaf as you will with the foam brush. So I'm going to do one stripe on the edge of the flap, one in the middle, and then one at the top. So I'll just put my scratch paper under the top here so I don't get it on my stamping pad. I just think this is a really neat project to add to your stamping arsenal. Kind of fun to try new things and work with different types of products. Okay, and that dries really quickly also, so it'll be ready in a matter of seconds. And here are some tags that I've made with the liquid leaf also, and a little pen. I've gone ahead and cut the tags out with the Minute to Make holiday tags die, and I'll show you all of the different sentiments I've done here. These are all stamped with Graceful Greetings 1 and Graceful Greetings 2. After stamping them, I simply use the liquid leaf again with a paintbrush on the edge of the tag. And then I use some white embroidery floss, cut a little piece and folded it in half. And then you take the folded side and you put it through the hole. If I can get it here. And then open up the loop and pull the two ends through. And that gives you sort of a shipping tag sort of look. And then the last project I did with the liquid leaf is a pretty pen. And this is super easy. Just take the liquid leaf and just brush it right onto the pen. It's so thick, it goes on really smooth and really nice. So you can customize any sort of pen to go with your monogram set. And here is the little jar of liquid leaf, and one more note is that you can cut any sort of shape out of the coaster board with the paper tray ink dies and paint it with the gold, and you've got a beautiful embellishment for any card or project. Well, I hope you are enjoying Stamp-a-faire this year, and I hope you enjoyed this challenge, and I can't wait to see what everybody will come up with. Have fun! Bye!